Hey everybody, so we are here in the living room and we are at that point where the living room has been prepped for paint. So everything that we had to do in here in terms of drywall is finished. If you recall, this was really the first room in the house that we started in. It had plaster. Here's a couple of pictures of what it used to look like. Then we determined early on that there was no insulation in the wall. So we stripped off all of the horsehair plaster and lathing. Then we put in some insulation. The next thing we determined was that this wall over here was not level. It had actually bowed out over the years, and even though it has been reinforced since, we still have that bow, and that's most evident here where you can see we put this filler board in to make the wall straight, and then as I go down lower, as we get to the bottom, it gets a lot wider. So that's a filler board, and the outside wall is actually tapered out a little bit, but these inside walls are perfectly straight. The other thing we wanted to do was we wanted to give this a level 5 skim coat. So we did all of our plastering. We got up to level 4, which basically filled in all of our tapered edges, filled in all our screw lines, filled in our edge between the ceilings. And then once that was all done, we did a skim coat on it. And the reason we did that skim coat is after all of those level 4s, we did a lot of sanding, and the sanding scuffs up the paper on the drywall. And so by putting this last skim coat on, you get a very smooth surface, which is going to be evident in the final finish of the paint. And if you recall the ceiling in here, which was probably an original ceiling, had a swirl pattern to it, we looked to not demo it. Instead, we just put 1/2-inch drywall over the existing, and that just saved us a lot of demos, saved us a lot of time. But since the ceiling is not going to be flat paint, we're actually going to use a sanded textured paint on that. That was only brought up to level 3 because that sanded paint, that actually hides a lot of the imperfections, and imperfections abound on this ceiling and particularly on some of the walls, because we did go on original joists, not on this wall where we put in new 2x4s, but on this wall and then the wall as we came in, that was all original studding, and that was anything but level. They basically threw whatever they had available in there, and so there was quite a wave to it. And the reason that we are sanding the ceiling is because that same wave, which is on the original joists that go across the ceiling, is evident. And it's not too evident right now, but if you are in the room, you can definitely see how there are dips and valleys. And so by putting a sanded paint on that, that's just a very quick way of kind of hiding all those imperfections. So that's why we're going to do it, and we're going to see that technique a little bit later on. Right now, we're giving the room over to the spray painters. They're going to come in, they're going to basically tape up all the windows and all of the openings we have, and then they're going to hit all of this with just a spray primer from floor to ceiling, and it's going to go by quick, a lot quicker than we would be doing it if we were doing it by hand. So we're kind of excited about that and moving along fast. The last thing that has to be done in this room is the floor. Now this floor is the original barn boards of the house, and we love them. It's beautiful, but unfortunately, just like everything else we've seen, we've got a lot of cupping going on in these boards. We've got a lot of dips and valleys in this floor. And if I had the marble and we did the marble test, we'd see everything just kind of rolls to the middle of the house. So we're going to get some nice wide barn boards from a local sawmill, and we're going to go right over this. And we're going to go against the grain of the boards, and that's going to add strength and stability to it. And at the same time we're doing that, we're also going to push up the floor and try to level it as much as possible. There's only so much we can do because we still have doorways and things to get through, and we don't want to have a step or a stoop from one level to the other. We're already dealing with that in the kitchen. So we're going to get it as close as we can to level where you're walking through here and you're not feeling a little drunk. So that's it, end of day number 31. Like I said, it's the middle of the day. This is going to get all tapered off, and then hopefully I'll be able to show you tomorrow what it looks like when it's completely primed and sanded, and it's going to look like a whole nother room. In the meantime, I'm going to move into the other side of the house, and we're going to get started on getting the living room, is that room. We're gonna get started on getting the dining room up to the same level, so then once that room's done, they can move in here and they can do that same spray primer on the walls and ceilings and get that done quick and then ready for paint. And then after this one's done, we're gonna move into the stairwell and do the same thing. So we're really in super dust mode actually, and I put a quick video up on Instagram. If you're not following me there, that really gives you kind of some of the details of the dirtier work we get to deal with. All right, so tomorrow is going to be a big day. That's when you're going to see the next video and you'll be able to see all of this and how it's settling in and getting ready for paint. All right, thanks for checking it in. See you tomorrow.